So since the last time I saw you, I've been mainly doing sewing and stitching. I was going through a period of time where I was really enjoying sewing, and now I'm finally reaching the end of that, and I'm kind of turning back around to cross stitch. But I did finish some of my whips that have been just kind of sitting around for a while. I finished my Rory jumpsuit, which has been sitting around the longest, and I'm so glad to have that done. It's in a black linen from fabricstore.com. I really enjoyed using this linen for that, and I would enjoy the pattern more, but I lost the actual instructions, so I just had the pattern pieces cut out. The other ones were on my old computer. Luckily, they have a sew along on their blog that you can follow, and that was very informative. I do really prefer video sew alongs, but something was better than nothing, because I kind of started that before realizing I didn't have access to the actual pattern instructions anymore. Anyways, I made it work, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think that it looks great. Now that I kind of know what I'm doing again, I do want to make different versions of this. I'm thinking that while this will be fine for the spring and summer because it is a mid-weight linen and it's very airy and good in warmer weather as well, I also want to make the shorts version of the pattern in some other linens. I would even maybe like to play around with denim. I think that would be a really good pattern for that. I also finished my Esther dress by Viki Sews, and this was one that I was having a lot of problems with, mainly with the fit, figuring out dart placement, and really it came down to being a problem with strap length. So I shortened the straps by a decent amount and just raised the bodice up, and that fixed most of my problems. So it was kind of tedious to go back and unpick everything again, but it actually fits now, and I'm so excited for it. I think that it turned out really pretty, and I'm really happy with it. And now I know what I'm doing. I can go back and hopefully do that on the more summery, I guess kind of nice one with the more stretchy rayon fabric. So after I was done with that sewing, I really got back into cross stitching. It's been a very common thing for me to really get into one craft at a time. They kind of interweave once in a while, or I will get really big on something, but I'll always have my knitting. But there's something that I don't know if I just kind of burned myself out working on my Caledonia coat so much that after sewing, I wanted to just go straight to cross stitch and only cross stitch for a little bit. I think another part of that is I started working on one of my projects that's just one that I really work on until I'm sick of it and put it away for a while again. And that is my dollhouse pattern that I got from Etsy. And this is what it looked like the last time I showed it. It has been a while. And here is what it looks like now. So I've made some good progress. I believe this is 16 count Ada, and I'm just using DMC. I can't remember if this was a conversion from Anchor. I think it was DMC, and I just didn't have a lot of the colors, so I've done a lot of substitutions for this one. That sounds right. And so I don't have exactly what I've done. I've even changed colors as it's gone, but I haven't been really strict on this one. It's just been a really fun project, and I'm okay with it being a little mismatched and crazy colorful because it's something that I'm going to probably put on my daughter's wall, and I think she will enjoy more colors than fewer. And yeah, this one is just one of those projects that is really fun to see all of the progress, and I just like to get it out, stitch like a maniac on it for a little bit, and then I put it away for quite some time. I can't remember exactly where I was last time because it's been a while since I've checked. I think I was just starting the nursery, but yeah, so I have the hallway, and I do have a few places that I need to go back in and fill in some details. Moving on to the bathroom now. But yeah, this is still a lot of fun, and I'm making good steady progress, but I still have quite a bit to go. I don't think it will take me too long though, because I enjoy working on it when I actually get it out. I just have to make myself get it out a little bit more. I also have a finish. Now, you have not seen this one at all because it has been another one of my kind of sneaky secret stitches. But I made the Bee Inspired pattern by Stitchrovia, but heavily modified it for my dad's tattoo shop. I really loved the pattern, but I knew that I wanted to customize it, and there were a couple things I wanted to change. Namely, there are 2 large motifs down here that are missing that I just thought maybe just doubling up on the bluebirds was a better idea because that's the name of his shop. I think this is a gorgeous pattern, and I am really happy with how it turned out. This is also 16 count Aida, I believe. And I also used the DMC embroidery floss for this one. This is in an 8.5 by 11 inch frame, which might be different if you do the pattern as it is designed, but with this one, which might have a little bit of length off of it, it fits nearly perfect in this size. So I can't get over how beautiful this pattern is. This was my first Stitchrovia pattern, and I've always been blown away by her designs and how beautiful and colorful they are, but they just pop. It's crazy. So I'm definitely going to have to look through her catalog a bit more and try something else maybe for myself soon. So reaching the end of that one and getting to a place where I was kind of done with working on the dollhouse for a little bit, I was really getting the itch to start something new. And so I've had a few patterns I've been kind of keeping an eye on, and this shop that I've been looking at a lot, which is Glitch Stitch AU on Etsy, and I love the designs on there. There are a lot of really cute Pokemon ones. I've probably mentioned it before that Pokemon is huge in my house right now, and so I've been trying to decide between 2 or 3 patterns pretty consistently what I wanted to do, and I decided to go ahead and start with the Evolutions Cafe pattern. This pattern is adorable, and I know it's going to be a hit with both of my kids. My daughter loves Pokemon. Her favorite is Eevee and all of Eevee's evolutions, as well as she has a very large affinity for cats, so this is just kind of her perfect pattern. It has her name all over it, and so I wanted to do this one, and I've been going back and forth with what fabric I wanted to use because I wanted it to really pop behind the picture. I wanted something to really make it very fun and kind of vibrant and stand out. I haven't really gotten the chance to play around with colorful Aida before because most of my patterns have had enough going on, or I just wanted to put them in places where I didn't really want anything crazy. But with this one, I really wanted to go all out and make it really fun. So I decided to practice and play a little bit with some RIT dyes. And I have 2 that I made because the first one I decided was not going to work for this one. This first one is a 14 count Aida. Oh, that looks gorgeous on there. I dyed this in a mason jar with vinegar and hot water, and the 2 colors that I used were petal pink and aquamarine. I used 2 parts petal pink to 1 part aquamarine, but I think I put too much dye in the jar for the size and the size of this Aida because it's not huge and it's just darker than what I wanted. It looks a little bit brighter here, but yeah, it's just too dark for this pattern. I love the result though, and I think it's going to be so beautiful under something else. But yeah, just for this one, it's not going to work. It did make me really love the process though, and I'm going to have to be careful not to want to dye everything that I get from now on. For my second round, I took some of my leftover 32 count linen that I had from another project, and I dyed it with just the petal pink, and I used a little less dye, and I dyed it for a little less time. That first one, I think I dyed it for 30 minutes. This one was 15 or 20, but with less dye and everything, it turned out quite a bit lighter. and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. And you can see I have a small start. I'm starting at the bottom left. That's just kind of where I always start to be safe. So I do have the start of the very bottom of the cat tree. You're going to have a little Eevee, and then down here is going to be Vaporeon. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. And like I said, this is on 32 count linen. I got all of the colors in DMC. This is all of them but 2 that I have on bobbins still, but I've been making the switch to these floss drops, which is a whole new world. I wish I would have known better when I first started, but I didn't know, so I'm not going to be too upset over it, but this is so much better, and the fact that I will be able to just take these off and use them in another project. Really excited to work on this and have it done, and maybe start another Pokemon one, but I don't know. I really love the Kanto travel poster one, and then I've also been looking at the Epic Pokemon Generation posters. There are multiple generations of them, and that's something that is a big commitment that I don't know if I'm ready to take. Maybe it's something that I can get my kids into and can kind of be their gateway into this kind of crafting. That would be really exciting. But yeah, a lot of that going on, and I'm just really excited to have a really colorful project because this is the most color that I think I've used, and yeah, it's a change, but it's a change for the better. So another thing that I've been meaning to do but wasn't really sure how to broach the subject was get around to what I've been reading. Because I've put it off for so long and I have a decent amount of books that I've read, I decided to maybe make it a little more fun by doing a book tag. I always really enjoy these, and it helps me kind of keep this more contained instead of just rambling, because even doing normal book reviews, I tend to get way off topic. I'm hoping that this will help me keep my thoughts in order, and just a way for me to kind of recommend what I really enjoyed and maybe what I didn't. So if you think our tastes kind of line up, or you might just be curious. So this is the quarter year crisis book tag, and the first question is, how many books have you read so far? I have read 17, which I'm feeling really great about. Number 2 is, have you already found a book you think might be a 2023 favorite? If not, what was your favorite book you read that wasn't quite 5-star? So my problem with this one is that I really know my taste now, and I also usually DNF if I can tell that I'm not going to like a book or if it's not going to work for me. So usually I don't get too many that slip through the crack. I have 10 5-star reads this year so far. So I've had a lot of luck. I've had some major favorites. It's been a really great reading year, and I feel like the past couple of years have been, because I've really just honed in to what I know I will enjoy. I still try to branch out, and sometimes it works and sometimes it really doesn't. But yeah, I've had a really great year. Any 1-star books or least favorite book of the year? So like I said, I will DNF. There's only been a couple instances that I've even given books 1 stars because I actually finished a book. If I didn't like it that much, I will not waste my time. I have a couple though that I pushed through on and I just did not enjoy very much. And the first one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I finally did it. I have avoided this book because I didn't think it was gonna be for me, and I still felt like maybe I was right, but I decided to just give it a try because you never know. The writing wasn't my thing, the characters weren't my thing, the plot wasn't, it was not for me. The other one was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, but I don't know why, but I was under the impression that it was something that it is not. And so the more I read it, I try to avoid reviews until I'm done with the book so that I don't let it kind of color my experience at all. But about halfway through the book, I was like, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I'm gonna kind of check in on it, and I started seeing that, oh, it's a very mixed bag. And while it does have a very high rating on Goodreads, when you get on there, the reviews themselves are very mixed, and a lot of weird choices, a very high ick factor, and not in like the way that you want horror to be icky. It makes you uncomfortable for the wrong reasons. And while I can even admire that when it's done in certain ways, it was more along the lines of, I don't know if I agree with what this author is trying to put forth. A lot of choices I didn't like, wasn't for me. So yeah, I'd say those were my two biggest fails of the year. Not bad, considering everything else, but yeah. Most read genre so far. So this is historical fiction for sure. I believe I have read 9. That's been, between that and fantasy, those have been my two go-tos that I've just been devouring. A book that surprised you. I actually have 2 for this one. The first one that I put off was The Road by Cormac McCarthy for kind of obvious reasons if you know what it's about. It's a post-apocalyptic tale, and you are following a father and his young son as they kind of traverse the new landscape. It's filled with a lot of depravity and sadness, and I put this one off because I knew it wasn't going to be a fun time. I just didn't know to what level, because I'd heard that it was so disturbing, and I just was not excited to be so sad. But I feel like the writing in this one really transcended that. Gorgeous writing. It's my favorite kind of writing, where it is very impactful and emotional and says a lot without having to say a lot. The second book I put off for a different reason, which was Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the third in the Farseer trilogy. I looked at reviews before I started it. Like I said, I usually don't do that because I saw a lot of really mixed reviews saying that it was tedious and boring and just different things, but I just kind of zoned in on the negative, and I just put it off because I didn't want a really long book, 800 plus page book that was going to be really repetitive and stuff. But I did not have that. I really enjoyed this book. To be fair, sometimes if there's a fantasy book and a bunch of the reviews say that it's boring and slow paced, it really works for me. I'm very much character centered, so there doesn't have to be a whole lot of plot movement for me to enjoy it, as long as the characters are well written, and I feel like hers really are. I did have problems with it. Some of the tropes that it plays along, the kind of ignorance one and keeping people in the dark for too long, or like there were reasons behind choices. Yeah, without getting too far into it, I could see where people were coming from, but it was not that for me. I really enjoyed the whole thing. I feel kind of a whole now that I finished the trilogy. I am going to try the Live Ship Traders trilogy, I think is the next one, that starts with Ship of Magic, and hopefully that will kind of help fill that void. But yeah, I was very surprised because I really enjoyed it and I didn't know if I would. A book that's come out in 2023 already that you want to read but haven't yet. I have been kind of out of the loop because I've been reading so much fantasy and I have a lot of catching up to do, so I actually don't know much of what is coming out, so I'm not anticipating anything. I am anticipating books that I didn't get to last year and that are kind of making waves right now, and one of those I just picked up at the library, which is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I have heard only good things about this. I believe it's kind of a contemporary version of David Copperfield, which I haven't read and I think will probably work in this book's favor. One goal you made that you're succeeding at. I would have to say my Goodreads, maybe. I don't make a lot of goals around reading right now. And even with my Goodreads, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. Last year was actually the first year in a while that I didn't meet my challenge, and I just had a really great reading year. So now I just kind of throw up a challenge to kind of see where I am, but I don't follow it or get down if I'm not succeeding at it. But so far I am. I have read 17 books of my goal for 40, I believe, and so I am 5 books ahead. So that's exciting, but yeah, I'm not going to be upset if I don't meet it. One goal you made that you need to focus on. Like I said, I don't really do that at the moment, but a goal that I loosely set is to read the Women's Prize for Fiction, at least the shortlist, and I have read 2 on that already, and I enjoyed them, but I don't know if I want to read the rest of the list, especially in fast succession. I find with this prize sometimes it's a bummer and these books are very impactful. What's so great about it is that it really educates you and informs you about a place and a time that we're not exposed to a lot. I've learned so much from just this prize list every year, so that's been really special, and I'm still open. Demon Copperhead is actually one of those, so if I finish that one I will have 3, so I mean it's not a giant leap to go ahead and read the other 3. We'll see. But yeah, that is how I've been reading so far, and this tag was really fun, so I might try to incorporate these a little more or come up with my own kind of system to just answer some questions to keep my ideas very organized and straightforward. And yeah,